Hey there, and welcome back. In this video, we are going to add a new English rule. And so you'll need to turn to your reference section. This is the very last chapter in your book. I believe it's page 118, actually 117. So if you need to stop the video until you get there, that is fine. And I just want to remind you of some of these that we've already done. We've talked about annotating, and we're using this skill quite a lot. We've used our highlighters to do the annotations in our story, so we've spent a lot of time on this one. We have done the parts of speech chart. We're building that as we go, and there's plenty of room for those. We've talked about titles, and so we're going to use this rule in our next writing exercise. We have talked about the first word of a sentence or a quote, so hopefully you're practicing that every time you write. We've talked about end marks, that all sentences must have stop signs, and the stop sign depends on the type of sentence. We talked about numbers and how to deal with those. If it's less than 10, you would need to spell it out. If it's 10 or higher, you can use the numeral. Compound sentences, I believe we are going to talk about today. We are. So let's go ahead, and this is page 127. I'm going to give you the rules about compound sentences. So I'll zoom in on page 127. And here is the definition of a compound sentence. Or let's say the rule. Let's write it as a rule. A compound sentence is made by joining, anytime you see compound, think of joining, two sentences with a conjunction. And at the moment, I'm sure this makes no sense. Just bear with me. I promise I'm going to explain. But let's get this definition, and here is the vocabulary that we're after. I'm going to tell you about conjunctions. So if you need to stop your video, go ahead and do that to get this definition. Conjunction, and I'm going to just give you a definition on this one, is a joining word. You know about nouns and adjectives and verbs and adverbs. A conjunction is another one of those parts of speech. A conjunction is a joining word. And for most tests at our level right now, there are 7 conjunctions that we need to remember. And you can remember those by using the acronym BOYS FAN. And I'm sure you're thinking, this woman has lost her mind. What in the world does that mean? Here are the conjunctions. But, or, yet, so, for, and nor. And I'm going to give you an example of sentences with all of these. But if you can remember that acronym, BOYS FAN, that will help you remember your list of conjunctions. Okay, here's another rule. This is so important. In a compound sentence, use a comma comma looks like this before the conjunction. I have never taken an English test, a writing test, that did not have this on it. So I would just about bet that you are going to see this rule if you take a test. So I want to be sure you know how to do this correctly. In a compound sentence, use a comma before the conjunction. I'm throwing a lot at you, I know, but let's practice, and I think that you'll be fine. So the first conjunction in our list is the word but. So here's an example. I'm just going to zoom in here. I wanted coffee. But the store was sold out. Stop. Full stop. This is a statement, so we're putting a period as our full stop. So let's break it down. Here's the first sentence. I wanted coffee. Here's the second sentence. The store was sold out. Do you see the conjunction? You see that bridge sitting right there? That joining word is sitting there. This is called the conjunction. It's a junction. The rule says that we have to put a comma because after coffee there's not a stop sign. It's a slow down. We slow down because the sentence isn't finished. I wanted coffee, but the store was sold out. And then we put the stop sign. This is called a compound sentence. And that is using our first conjunction, but. Okay, here's another sentence. Our next one is the conjunction or. So let's zoom in so that we're just focusing on this sentence. Do you want cake? Or would you rather have ice cream? I want both. But this is not my choice. Okay? First thing I need to realize is this is asking a question. So do I want to do that? No. That's a full stop statement. This is asking. So we need a question mark there. Someone is asking me what I think. And they're saying, do you want cake? Or would you rather have ice cream? So those are my two sentences. That's where the compound comes from. There's my conjunction. That's the joining. And if I'm joining two sentences, I must put a comma where? Before the conjunction. That comma is acting as the stop sign for that first sentence. It's not a stop sign. It's acting as the punctuation for the first sentence. Okay, so we have used a sentence with or. Okay, the next one is the word yet. And yet is not that common, but sometimes you see it. So let's do one with yet. I passed my final exam. Yet I failed the class. Okay. Full stop. I'm not asking. I'm not upset. Maybe I should be upset. This one could possibly be an exclamation point. Okay, let's look at our two sentences. You should be able to see them in there. I passed my final exam. I failed the class. So there are two sentences coming together at this junction. Right here is the junction. Okay, that's called a conjunction, just like a junction on an interstate where things are coming together. And the rule says if you're joining two sentences, you must put a comma where? Before the conjunction. Sometimes on a test they'll try to trick you by sticking it right there, but that's incorrect. It will be before the conjunction. So there is an example with yet. So. So is a very common one. I was speeding down the highway. Let's see if you can read my mind. I was speeding down the highway. So, what happened to me? If I was speeding down the highway, what pops into your mind? I had a wreck. I got a ticket. You see how I can lead you to think what I want you to think just by the words I choose. That's what writing is about. I'm trying to get you to understand what I'm saying. Okay, this one could be a full stop, but if I just got a ticket, it's probably strong emotion. That's up to you as the author. Okay, so let's change colors here. Orange. I don't use orange. We will get to orange soon. But I was speeding down the highway. I got a ticket. The conjunction is right here. So the comma goes where? Before the conjunction. You are joining two sentences. This is a compound sentence. So do you see that the pattern doesn't change? I'm changing out the conjunction, but the rule stays the same. Okay, the word for. Let's do that one next. For. This one's a tough one for me because I never use this word as a conjunction. I always use it as a preposition, which is another part of speech. So let me think just a minute. Here we go. Anna went to the doctor for she had a high fever. I would say Anna went to the doctor because she had a high fever. The word for is sort of an old English usage. It's just not that common. But as sure as I don't show it to you, it's going to be on the test somewhere. So let's go ahead and count this one. Let's do our two sentences. Anna went to the doctor. What for? She had a high fever. So those two words become those two sentences become compounded when I join them with that conjunction. And the comma goes where? Before the conjunction. Here's the most common one. How many times in one day do you see, hear, or say the word and? Lots and lots of times. Okay. We got a new puppy. And he chewed up all my money. Okay. If your new puppy just ate $100, is that one of these full stops or one of these full stops? Yeah, it's one of these. So this is pretty exciting. I'm going to use the exclamation point. This actually happened to me when I got my dog. She got into my purse and chewed up all of my money. It wasn't $100, but I was still pretty angry. Okay, here is the first sentence. Here's the second sentence. And here is the conjunction. Comma goes where? Before the conjunction. All right, the last conjunction we need to work with is nor. And there's something special about nor. Actually, I'm going to leave that for now. I'm not going to get into that. You'll learn about nor another time. But here's an example with nor. Sorry, I just realized this video is long and I don't want to go there today. Okay. Sam did not see the news nor did he read the paper. Nor is not a very common conjunction in this type of sentence. So you've got your first sentence, a second sentence of sorts. This is not the best example. Here is the conjunction, and the comma goes where? Before the conjunction. So again, to help you remember the conjunctions, remember boys fan, and that's an example of each one of those. Comma goes before the conjunction. I know there's a lot here. This is a very long page, but it's a very important rule. I will see you next time for the next rule in our series.